All right, everybody, welcome to the T.R.I.P Podcast, episode number 3. My name is Mihran El-refai, and I'm have the opportunity to have an amazing conversation here today with somebody that I've been wanting to have a conversation with like this for quite some time, ever since I really met him. It is Xavier Ibrahim with Hero Homes. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Oh,
Happy to be on today.
thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. So I want to just get started right away here. I just want to take it all the way back. What got you your start in real estate?
Okay, why I started in real estate. Okay. When I first got started in real estate, I was working at a car dealership. And it was heavy hours, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. And I enjoyed what I did. I worked with some good people, but I always wanted more. And as I was driving to work one day, there was a house that was boarded up, always it was abandoned for a long time. And then finally we saw like a sign on the front saying for sale. And so I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, this house has been messed up for years. So then I write the number down, I get to the office, I call it, and they're asking like $60,000. And then I offer 45,000. It doesn't get accepted right away, but they end up accepting the offer. And I didn't have the money at the time either. So I had a couple cars. Me and my brother had a couple cars. We ended up selling all our cars and then just unloading the cars and then buying the house cash.
Awesome. Awesome. And was this in, because I know you're based out of Florida, was this in Florida or where was this at the time?
Okay, so at this time I was in New Jersey.
Okay.
My career started in New Jersey,
Okay.
right? I was in Newark, New Jersey,
Okay.
off of 21. It was the house was right next to the Ironbound. If anybody knows about Newark, New Jersey, they have the bad areas and they have the Ironbound. It's actually pretty good.
Okay. Okay. So you got your first start with buying your house in New Jersey. What did you guys end up doing with that house?
Oh man, that was a mission. We didn't know what we were doing at all, actually. This just to let you know that even if you don't know what you're doing, you can still start in real estate and still come out like a bandit, right? Um, the house needed about $60,000 in work. I didn't have the money for the remodel, right? So after we offloaded all our cars, we bought the house cash, and we really didn't know how to even get the money to renovate it. So then we started doing research. And since the house was paid off, there was a way we can get renovation funds through a private lender because he would have like the first lien on the property.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up borrowing $60,000, renovating the property. So we're all in 105 plus whatever costs. We ended up selling the property for like 180 and some change.
Okay.
And that was my first one.
Okay. So you guys started essentially fixing and flipping houses.
Yep.
And what got you wanting to start exactly fixing and flipping? Because I know you said that you wanted to do more coming out of your sales job, your car salesman job. Did you automatically want to go into fixing and flipping, or did you just happen to come across that path, or were you looking at other avenues?
It was it was really the fix and flip. I just wanted my time back, right?
Okay.
And now we have our time, but we choose what we do with our time. We work towards our big goals, our big projects. Well, we don't have time because we're consistently working on
Mhm.
that. But you have your flexibility throughout the day of what you can do and what you don't want to do.
Mhm.
So it was really just I wanted my time back.
Awesome. Awesome. So then, what were some of the challenges when first getting started? So you got the first one done. What was the second, the third one, and so on? What were those beginning stages like in the journey?
Okay, I can tell you. Okay, the second one, we actually we bought a house in an auction.
Okay.
Because at this time I had no marketing channels. I had no idea about marketing, like the whole business setup, the business plan about fix and flipping and everything. I had no idea. I was just going in because I believed, I had faith and that it would work out. And we bought it at an auction. I can tell you right now, we overbid because somebody kept running it up, and we're like, this guy is really going to pay more than me. No, I can't lose. I can't lose. I can't lose. And then I remember it was my brother and my brother's wife. My brother's wife in the room, and we were just going in it. We ended up paying too much,
Gotcha.
and we still bought it. We renovated it. We actually added more square footage, so it was a big rehab. It was 100,000 and some change, 100,000 some change, right? And so we ended up losing $25,000
Dang.
on the second deal.
Okay.
So then I'm like, look, I gotta figure something out here, right? So I made a bunch of money on my first one, lost money on the second one, and then I was like, I need to get some type of education on how this works. You know, the fix and flip business, the renovations,
Mhm.
and that's what we did.
Awesome. Awesome. And primarily in those first, couple deals, those first years that you were in the business, there was primarily you guys were doing fix and flips, right?
Fix and flips. We did wholesaling too, right? So the first couple years, we really wasn't aware of wholesaling as much as we should have been, right? Because generating cash, actually putting cash in the business to hold you down for a flip, right? A flip takes 4 or 6 months to get the check sometimes if things go perfectly.
Right.
But on that time, during that time, you're gonna need some cash to hold you down.
Right. Right.
And in the beginning, we weren't aware of that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And so that was the beginning stages. Now let's look at present day. Coming from flipping your first house in New Jersey, where is your business now? Like, are you guys primarily still doing the fix and flips? Are you guys, what is the current structure? What are you guys focusing on today?
Okay, right now we're focusing on buy and holding, but we do fix and flips, right? So if there's enough equity where getting the cash back in the business is going to project more money in the future,
Hmm.
um, and even on the rents also, if there's too much cash in the deal compared to how much I'm going to be making every month in rent,
Hmm.
I'll end up selling the property,
Okay.
right? So we're still buying. We always are buying with under the impression that we're going to hold the property anyway.
Okay.
So we buy, all the numbers are usually, we have equity on all our deals. And if we sell it, hey, we get a nice pop. And then if we don't, we just keep it rented.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now I know you guys are doing numbers. I personally have dealt with you guys on multiple deals. I know you guys have a lot of cool projects going on. What is the size of your guys' portfolio? What is the volume you guys are doing today?
Wow. Okay, we're in Ohio, we're in Georgia, and we're in Florida. Right. So in Ohio, we buy a lot of single family houses, apartments. And you're in Toledo. So in Toledo, I might have about, I think we're usually buying around maybe 5 to 10 a month in Toledo itself. So that's the average I like to stay at in each city. So Dayton, 5 to 10 a month. Cleveland, a little bit more.
Hmm.
We just bought 55 houses in Cleveland and have another 38 under contract, all portfolios. Um, yeah, and Lima, Ohio's a little bit of a country
Yeah.
city. I have 120 homes in Lima. So I got that portfolio through an older gentleman who was just looking to retire,
Right.
right? And I usually wouldn't go in that city because it's a country city,
Right.
but I'm in the business to solve problems, right? So if a seller comes to me and he has a portfolio and it makes sense, I investigate, right? And I just kept investigating, and it ended up being an okay deal. So I ended up buying 120 houses for, I think, less than $4 million.
It's not a bad deal.
And it's not a bad deal. The ARV on those houses are way above 10 million. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So to deal with this type of volume, that's not just you. I know you guys have
no.
infrastructure, a team going on. Explain to me when you're at this stage, when you're doing this type of volume, what does your team look like today?
Okay. Well, I'm in charge of acquisitions, right? So the deals that come through our fund, I see almost 99.9% of it, right? And my older brother, he's in charge of the funds, the actual liquidity of us. So if we are going to buy a house, he looks at the numbers, checks if the numbers works, and checks if we're going to make a good return on the investment. So I analyze everything. I present everything to him, and then us together we present it to our investors.
Okay. Got you. Got you. So you guys are it's more of a fun now than it's became a fun now pretty much in today's.
Yeah, because we had, so me and my brothers, right? We grew our portfolio to over 100 properties alone,
Mhm.
right? It was just me and my brothers. We didn't have any fun, we didn't have anything like that. And then after we grew to that, we uh we started taking in investors um as a fund, and we started growing the portfolio from there. Now we're buying a lot of properties. We're actually in Atlanta. We actually have plans on developing over 6,000 apartments. So it's developing new construction up.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know we were on the phone a couple of days ago. You told me you were in Atlanta. Has that project started yet, or where is that? Where is that in the process?
Oh, no, that project's in the beginning
Okay.
phase. You want to know
Sure.
something, man? I can tell you, man. I'm a heavy believer, man. If you believe in yourself and your capabilities, and you just treat people right, things just come to you. It just comes to you. Like that deal was just like a bucket, just came out of nowhere. So I'm half Ethiopian, right? I'm half Dominican. So the owner of this land is actually an Ethiopian gentleman, really nice gentleman, family man, and he wants to do this development with us, right? And we're half Ethiopian, and so we're doing a partnership. He's bringing the land, I'm bringing the money, the construction, and we're gonna do a really great community, really, really great
That's
community.
awesome. Where is it in Atlanta or whereabouts in Georgia?
Yeah, it's actually on the Beltline.
Okay.
Like in Atlanta, there's something called the Beltline where you can travel through the city of Atlanta,
Hmm.
right? They have electric scooters. I think it's like 20 miles long. A bunch of restaurants, a bunch of coffee shops, bunch of bars. It's a really nice environment, right? I don't know if you're old enough to know like the city, Mr. Rogers. I mean, Mr. Rogers, the guy where everything was perfect and just everybody was just
Yeah.
happy. When you're in that environment, everybody just looks happy in their own world, and it's a perfect place to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, well, I wish you guys the best of luck with that project. I really do. And
Thank you,
with
thank you.
all the projects. Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of work, man. This is like a 5-10 year plan
Oh yeah. It sounds like it. I mean, six.
just in the city in Atlanta.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So that's definitely a success, I would say, in getting that project started, and with the portfolio you're buying in Lima and all the deals that you're doing right now. This has all been an accumulation of years and years of work and wins and losses. We've touched on some of the wins, but I want to touch, if you don't mind, on some of the losses here. What what do you think?
Okay, let's do it.
What do you think has been the greatest or your most interesting failure that you've had in the business?
Failure. Okay, I can tell you, I had trusting the right partner is very, very important. If you're gonna have a partner, right, and if you're gonna scale things, you're gonna end up having some partners somewhere, right?
Right.
So I was building houses in Orlando, mansions, right? I had this 6,000 square foot house, 8,000 square foot house. I was building mansions, and I partnered up with an actual contractor, a builder, which in the beginning he seemed very, friendly, family orientated, but it was all just for show, right? It was all just for show, just to get in the deal. And so he didn't perform, right? So his job was, okay, I'm going to come with the money, right? I found the deal, I came with the money. He's going to construct. He was a contractor, a builder, right? So he's going to build, he takes his percentage. And so what was happening is that he was getting draws, right? And he wasn't performing, right? So, and there wasn't too many draws. It all started one draw, and then okay, we checked on it, no progress. Two draws, and we're like, okay, it doesn't make sense here. So then time goes time goes by, holding costs happens, and then we took the trip back to Orlando, and we started realizing like, look, I don't think this guy's gonna perform, right? So make a long story short, we were doing maybe like 10 projects in Orlando at the same time, all with one guy as like a builder because I brought the money, right? And just make a long story short, it didn't go right. We ended up losing some money. And this is the only deal that actually we lost money on that had investor money, right? Only deal. So we ended up paying everybody back. So we had to take the loss on that, right? And it was a learning experience to just basically you got to be careful who you trust because people will sell you anything
Hmm.
just to get some money in their pockets.
Hmm. No, absolutely, absolutely. So on that point now, because it sounds like throughout your journey in this business, other people have played a large role, whether it be your own brothers, whether it be investors, or people that you just connect with. Like you mentioned on your development projects. How did you find these people outside of your brothers, of course? How did you find these people? How did you build relationships with these people? And what are some tips that you have for people that are out there that may think that maybe they're on an island alone, that they're starting this business and they're all alone, they have nobody there that can help them, maybe they don't have the family that you have, the brothers that you have, or maybe aren't in a situation where they know where to find these types of people. Is your suggestion to them?
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to go to places where you network, right? Seminars, networking meetings. If you're gonna stay local, you want everybody to know what you can do. If you're buying houses, everybody has to know you're buying houses. A lot of, okay, I'm gonna give you guys a nugget, right? So if you're looking to fix and flip, right? If you're looking to fix and flip, start wholesaling, right? Start wholesaling, build some cash, and a lot of the times it's not even the cash that you actually build that you can start fixing flipping with. So once you start doing business, right, you're actually closing deals, you're building relationships. And a lot of people don't even really realize that.
Yeah,
So if you're wholesaling a homeowner's house and the homeowner receives $150,000, right? And he has a mortgage for maybe half of that. You wholesale it, the buyer closes. The owner actually has $150,000. And the owner actually knows that you do deals and you actually do what you say you're going to do. Why not ask that owner that you just paid him for 25, 30K with a return on his investment for your next flip that you're going to buy?
that's so smart.
So most people don't really understand that they're wholesaling deals, but the actual owners that you're wholesaling deals to actually have cash and they actually know you now and they know you don't you're not full of crap, right?
Right.
You gave them the money for their house.
Hmm.
That's a little nugget.
Yeah, yeah. That, and people don't talk about that. I think that's the first time I've ever heard somebody actually say that. That is an incredible nugget, guys. If you guys aren't writing stuff down, write that down. If you've written anything down so far, that is an incredible nugget. So then what about say business partners? Because that getting a private lender on a deal is one thing. Going into business with somebody and essentially marrying that person within your business is a whole different thing. What are your suggestions for people that want to bring on business partners, and what would make the decision to even have a business partner? What makes you decide whether you should or should not even have a business partner in the first place and just doing it solo?
So I actually love business partners, right? I'm actually a big person on collaborating. Like I love collaborating with if I can collaborate with everybody, if there was a way to collaborate with every single human being on this earth, I would try to figure it out, right? And we can go into one big project together and actually make money together. A lot of people so when people do business with me, I think my success is because I actually try to make them the most money that they actually possibly can, right? So, you've done business with me. I actually like when you make money. If you make 10K, 15K, 20K, I'm actually going to try my best to get you the most possible on your side. And so we can continue doing business in the
Right.
future. So if you and I are negotiating and I negotiate and I beat you down so much where you don't really make that much money, you did a lot of work for the deal. You're going to shake my hand. You're going to be like, oh, yes, yes, yeah, let's do business together in the future. Yes, but if you make 20K, if you make 30K, you're gonna ask me, like, hey, is there any deals? Is there any deals that you need? Well, anything you need, you want me to walk some properties for you, right? You want me to walk some properties for you, right? So it's a different mindset. People are willing to help you, and they see the long-term relationship of, look, I can actually make continuous money with this guy. Not just, he's not going to nitpick me and try to get me down to just a $2,500, $3,000 wholesale fee, which every investor is trying to break the deal down to get it the cheapest as possible.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. And I see that so much with not just wholesalers, but buyers, realtors. I see with everybody in the industry. The people that are down to collaborate, that don't care what the other person is making, win in the long term. And it's not just with the money, it's even with information. I see a lot of people that keep information, especially in this industry. They keep information, and whenever the new hotshot comes along the block and is looking for help, the young hustler that's looking to bring deals, to bring opportunity, not just to you but to the marketplace, they try to shut that person down. And I was always taught, and I try to practice just trying to give as much as I can, not just of course, in a financial situation, is bringing on partners, bringing on people to do deals together, but even as far as knowledge, because that in the long term can go a long way. I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, right? And me and him are doing I'm doing his second deal with him. So he's already done a deal. He's like 19 years old. He's about to make like 20K on a deal. 19 years old. He's about to make 25,000 on a deal. So like, incredible kid. And he was reaching out to me. He's like, "Hey man, I'm about to make all this money. What should I do? How should I spend this? Because I'm trying to create a business out of this, and I'm not trying to like have this one deal and then just fly off into the sunset. So I was telling him, do this, don't do this. Make sure you keep some for taxes, keep some for reserves. Just giving him all the basic things that I've learned over my time in the business. And he was basically telling me how, first, after thanking me and just telling me that, wow, like nobody's ever really given me that for free. And I was like, dude, you're in the wrong circles. And I see that a lot, especially here in local circles. People try to keep information really tight because they don't want their competitors knowing. Man, I'll be honest with you, I love competition. I love having competitors, especially with a business like us, because like you said, you're a collaborator at the end of the day. If there's another person that's doing as much deals as you are, collaborate with them. It's just more opportunities that you guys can both have. So I love that point, and I always try to preach that point to people, just in my everyday life and within the workplace. So I really appreciate you saying that. Um, so so
Oh, I agree with you. Collabing is the best way,
yeah.
right? Um, Getting in a group of like-minded individuals
Mhm.
is probably one of the most important things to actual flourish, right? If you're in a group where they're just, closed-minded, every time you come up with some big idea, they're telling you, "Oh, get back down to earth," leave, 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 run as fast as you can.
Right.
It's the best thing to do is to have an imagination without a top, right? You just want to keep imagining. Just the imagination can't be covered. Um, as you know, we have a hotel in Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
I started sharing that idea 5 years ago to multiple investors, and they thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy. And then last year we bought a hotel in Dominican Republic. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, if you believe in what you can do and what you want for your life, it just slowly manifests that way. There's nothing stopping it. If you actually believe, there's nothing stopping it.
Yeah. And what you believe is what you put out as well. So if you have this negative mindset of, oh, I don't want to share this, or I don't think that's possible, that's going to emanate to other people in the way you communicate with them. So your vibe attracts your tribe at the end of the day. So I 100% agree with that. And by the way, I'm still waiting on my ticket to the Dominican Republic. So
I'm ready. I keep inviting you every time we close a deal. I'm like, "Hey, are you ready? Are you ready to
we'll
come?"
make it one day. We'll make it one day. I love it.
No, you want to know something? Actually, so I'm actually buying another hotel in Dominican Republic in Punta Cana, and I'm buying another one in Santo Domingo. So I'm actually doing like a kind of like a cruise, kind of like a land cruise,
Hmm.
where it's like a triangle. If anybody's familiar with the Dominican Republic, where I have my hotel is on the north coast, where I'm buying the other two is on the east and south coast. So I'm doing like party bus tours from each sector, right? To actually tour the actual country, not just stay in one place, stay in the resort. Nobody really gets the feel and the culture of the Dominican Republic that way, right?
Right.
So I have really big plans for the actual hotel, the tourism, the business. You know, I plan to buy more hotels all over the country. So
Awesome. Awesome. That sounds like an amazing plan. So on that topic, so 3 hotels in the Dominican Republic, 5 to 10 deals in Toledo alone, multiple deals you have going on across multiple states. These deals don't just come out of nowhere, right? There's
no.
there's got to be. I heard you mention it before. You guys have marketing that you guys are putting out there. Talk to me about that a little bit. What is the marketing that you guys are putting out there? What do you guys are seeing that's working, and how are you guys finding your deals?
Okay, so we do have a lot of cold callers, right? So cold calling still works, right? A lot of people say cold calling is dead. It's not. It still works. It's always gonna work. It's always gonna work to the day I die, right? You cold outreach somebody, ask them if they're interested in selling their property, or ask them if they're interested in buying property also. So my pitch is a little bit different. I kind of come to the table with just a value add play, just kind of like a neutral situation. Just if they're interested in buying or selling any property, and if they're interested in buying any property, do they need any? Do they need to sell any properties to buy their future dream property?
Hmm.
Right. So I come at it at a different angle where I'm just trying to add value to the actual client. Right.
Hmm.
If they need funding, we have a really really good mortgage broker on the team. Black Knight Lending, really really good, very very creative. I can tell you my building in Miami, right? This is a $10 million building, so payments on this 80K plus, right, a month. So if you're in the construction stage, right, there's no cash flow coming in at that stage. So if you're renovating the whole building, that nut actually has to get coughed up by you, right? So if you're going to pay 80K a month, if you're going to take a year to renovate a building, that's almost $1 million in holding costs,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That's an extra million in holding costs.
Hmm.
So the way he worked it out for me is that I actually have on this loan actually 12 months, no payments,
Incredible.
no payments. And this is 72 apartments in Little Havana, 5 minutes away from Brickell, 5 minutes away from downtown Brickell, right? The ARV is worth, I think, around 18 million. I think it could potentially reach 20 million. We're probably going to put 2 million to 3 million into it. I bought it for 9.2.
Incredible.
So after it's all rented, we should be cash flowing a couple $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible. So and you found that through cold calling, or how did you find that deal?
no, this deal actually came through a relation with a
Okay.
realtor, a relationship with a realtor.
Okay.
But so what I do is I network with realtors and cold calling.
Okay.
Realtors, wholesaling, and cold calling.
Okay.
Every now and then, if there's some extra funds, I'll throw it in marketing
Hmm.
and letters, but it's usually towards probate.
Yeah.
If I do letters.
Yeah.
Everything else is cold calling, man. I have right now, so as I just hired 3 people, that might be 26. So I have 26 cold callers.
And they're
Another 3.
and they're cold calling all in Ohio, Florida, Georgia.
Yeah, they're calling in Georgia.
Hmm.
They're
Could you say that one more time? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
Loud
you.
and clear. Awesome. Sorry. So can you repeat that one more time? So your cold calls are calling all in Ohio, Florida, and Georgia.
Ohio and Georgia right now. That's where we're mostly cold calling. Jersey also.
Okay.
And Florida, I still cold call Florida, but it's a different type of niche that I'm doing in Florida.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
Well, so my wife is a realtor.
Hmm.
right? So I'm actually I help her business in Florida because she's a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just officially just for investments.
Okay.
It's just to add value to a potential seller.
All right. Okay. Possibly get a listing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right. So some interruptions happened there, but we're back. We're back. So back to the marketing side. So as far as the cold callers go, how are you finding them and how are you managing them? Are you guys managing them all yourself, or are you guys outsourcing that to a third party? How does that work?
Okay, so my cold callers are in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
So they speak Spanish, English. They speak two languages. The main languages in the United States are Spanish and English.
Okay.
So they speak both,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have an admin that manages the whole team,
Okay.
right? And there's 5 teams, right? So I have one is the main caller, right? Is the main caller, and then he has 4 people under him.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? So every 5 people is a team, from at least for me.
Okay. And then what does that one caller do for the other four? So are the other four, are they the ones that are prospecting there, and then the one up top is kind of just qualifying them more?
Yes, that's exactly how it is. So he qualifies them. He actually assesses the situation, see where he can plug it in the
Mm-hmm.
system, right? So my system, if nobody is actually talking to a human, where I can see that. So if let's say somebody works 8 hours and 4 hours they were on standby, and then another 1 hour was voicemails, just pressing the voicemail button. And another 3 hours was actually talking to a human being.
Yeah.
So I can see all of that throughout my system, and that's what the admin actually checks. So the admin is checking to make sure everybody is working the way they're supposed to work.
Gotcha.
The actual lead caller is actually just filtering the deals, smelling where there's actual deal where we can make a deal happen.
Right.
And then the other 4 on his team, they're going through stuff that nobody really wants to go
Right.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going through the F you, don't ever call me
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Cool. And so you have essentially like 4 prospectors, somebody up top that's like lead manager in a sorts. That's warming them up, qualifying them more. After that, they get sent to you, and then are you the person that's like getting them under contract to purchase?
No. So after that, what happens is that, okay, let's say they get a hot lead, right? They get a hot lead. The lead caller will call them.
Okay.
So like they're going through all the cold leads. The lead caller will call them, get all the really good information, because he's the one who can really like articulate a really good conversation. He knows the in and outs of my business, the funding part. If a seller or buyer needs anything
Mm.
else, right? He'll attack it and actually put it together.
Okay.
And then from there, when there's a deal, he's the one. So the actual admin that watches everything, he makes the contract.
Oh. Okay.
He sends the contract to them.
Okay.
They sign it. And after that, that's when I see it.
Okay. Gotcha. So you have the person that's qualifying, that's above the 4 prospectors. They're the one that's essentially locking up the deals as well, because they're doing the negotiations. They're making sure you get at
Yeah.
a price, and then your admin sends them the paperwork, and they essentially get it under contract.
Yeah, they essentially get under contract. So the actual lead caller, he's the one that understands how to negotiate, because it's not just an investor offer, right? So I try to add value. Right now, I can tell you the last couple months have been crazy on the creative finance.
Yeah.
The creative finance have been crazy. Subject to deals, just financing my down payment. Like, okay, I can tell you the 38 properties that I have under contract right now in Cleveland. So the owner is actually financing my down payment.
Love it.
So I really have to come up with very little money out of pocket on that deal.
Okay.
So the owner, he wanted a little bit more than I usually would pay.
Mhm.
And we worked it out where I gave him that number,
Mhm.
but my cash on cash return is actually double than it was if I would have bought it at the cheaper number than I was trying to buy it
Yeah.
for. So it's basically just the holding costs, the actual management of getting into the deal. You're going to need a little bit of extra money until it's actually cash flowing. You do your repairs. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. Just the management, the soft
Right.
costs in the deal until it's actually cash flowing.
How are you training these people to lock up deals?
Okay, so I do a little bit of the training, but I also have I have one main caller who's a shark, right? He does the training.
Okay.
So he's training all the other main callers, like the lead callers, and then the lead callers train the other four.
Okay.
But so I do the main training,
Mhm.
and then they do the other training.
Okay.
And so let's say if I'm running around, right, we're consistently holding interviews, we're consistently hiring people, right? And the main caller, he's the one doing all the interviews.
Okay.
So he gets a cut. The main caller gets a cut of everything that everybody else does. And then the other five lead callers gets a cut of the other four. So they have incentive to actually keep the team together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand, because sometimes I might be a little bit everywhere.
Definitely understand. Yeah. Yeah. So they have an incentive to find the right people because at the end of the day, it's going to affect their compensation.
Exactly. So we don't want, just the caller, hello, do you want to buy your property? No, we don't want that. We want, hey, how you doing, John?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, brother, how you doing? How's your day today?
Yeah.
We want the guy who can talk and, relate to people.
Right. Right. I love it. Okay. Awesome. It's interesting having a whole an all cold calling marketing channel for the most part. I know you said you do some other things on the side, but as far as the paid marketing is cold calling, I find it really interesting because I started off cold calling. I didn't have a lot of cold callers. I didn't have any of that. It was just me on the phones, just pounding it. You know what I mean? So
Me too.
yeah.
Me too. Me too. It was years of me doing that.
And that's why I'm so good at training it. And I say that I will never get rid of cold calling because I think right now, looking at our numbers, we are doing exceptionally well at cold calling right now compared to all of our other marketing channels. It was texting that was doing really well, but I don't know if you've heard, but with all the texting regulations, that's pretty much done in the water. So cold calling has actually picked up. And we're seeing a lot of success with cold calling right now. So if you guys have any
me too.
Yeah. So if you guys have any doubts about if cold calling works or not, it's working. It's working. I think it's going to keep getting better. So keep dialing. What dialer are you using?
Right now, so I'm on Call Tools.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm on Call Tools right now.
Gotcha. If I can make the recommendation, because I was on Call Tools as well for like a couple of years, and I love Call Tools. But we just made the switch to a company called Ready Mode, and they are phenomenal. Their system's kind of hard to work through at first. It takes a lot of training, and they have a really good onboarding. They have a really good customer service. But we made the switch from Call Tools to Ready Mode, and Ready Mode has just been blowing Call Tools results through the water. Like if I were to show you our daily reports, I mean, we're getting, 50, 70 leads a week, just from cold calling, from only 3 cold callers. So I highly recommend that dialer for you and
Yeah, no, I just wrote it down. I'll talk to you later about it. After the call, after the podcast. Talk to you later about it.
For sure.
Look, and another thing is you never know everything in this business, right? I think that has been one of my strengths is just receiving information, learning from other people. I'm okay to learn from anybody. If somebody's going to tell me and give me a nugget on something that I had no idea what was better than what I was doing, I'm okay with it because I'm in an environment where everybody's just trying to win, right? Everybody's just trying to win, and we want everybody to win.
Right.
So we don't think a certain way towards people when they're trying to bring value, right? We need all the value. I need all the help I can get, right? I have a lot of stuff. If somebody's willing to come into my organization and take something off of my hands and say, look, this is the value I'm going to add, look, you're in, right? You're in. So I like collabing with everybody I can.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Likewise. Likewise. Let me ask you this. What would, if you could do it all over again, right? If you can go back to finding that first house in New Jersey, right? How would you do it? How would you start? If you have all the knowledge that you have today, how would you start again?
Oh, brother, man. I would have never sold any of the properties that I sold.
Mm.
So, sometimes you don't know when things are gonna happen. Like you really don't know when values are gonna go up in an area. But I can tell you in Columbus, Ohio, right? I used to buy packages from the land bank for, 20 houses at a time, 25 houses at a time when they had a lot of inventory, when they were trying to fix a lot of vacant houses in the city.
Mm.
Now there's not that much inventory where you can't even buy. It's hard to buy one house from the land bank in Columbus. So what I would do is I would buy these houses, renovate them, rental rehab,
Mm-hmm.
and I would sell them to out of state investors. And this whole time I lived in Florida, I would sell them to investors in Florida, New York, California, stuff like that. But I kept a couple. So I paid $5,000 for one. I can tell you, we sold that for $390,000. Right. So if I would have kept the hundreds that we bought, I would be sitting on a different type of portfolio, liquidity of the portfolio, because a lot of stuff we have, we buy, we leverage it. And let's say if I bought 100 houses, 5,000, 10,000 a pop, and worth 300, 400, like that's kind of like when Bitcoin just skyrocketed. It's kind of like Bitcoin when it skyrocketed. Like everybody was buying it for $500 before, and now 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So you never really know.
So if you were to go do it all over again, you would have not sold any properties.
No, I probably would have kept all the properties. Other than that, I would have did it exactly the way I did it, because it was a learning process, and the mistakes actually, they hurt, right? They hurt, and you don't do them again because it hurts so
Yeah.
much, right? You learn better that way.
Yeah.
So other than that, I would probably do everything the same because there was a lot of learning
Mhm.
curves. But I would have kept all the houses, man. I would have kept everything. Now everybody else is sitting on all that money.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So
But it did pay the bills at the time. At the time, it paid the bills. It was a part of my career
right.
that was interesting, very, very interesting. I met a lot of good people.
Mm-hmm. So then let me ask you this in regards to that. If somebody wanted to start out, would you recommend they go straight into buying and holding and just keep trying to get as much property and keep them for as much as they can, or would you recommend the wholesaling and fixing and flipping and the active?
I have to be honest with you. I would recommend the wholesaling.
Yeah.
I would recommend the wholesaling because it builds a skill level of dealing with sellers.
Mhm.
Just closing deals, making deals happen,
Yeah.
taking one part, another part, and then basically nurturing that deal through the process until it actually closes. And that's like every single business transaction in the world, right? You're gonna have to do that if you sell a laundromat. If you have to do that if you sell anything, Italian pizzeria, right? So it develops skills, deal finding, and then after that, I think it would all fall into place after that if you're with the right people.
Okay, so then let me ask you, when do you think the transition should be? So let's say they have aspirations of buying and holding, rentals, and keeping as many properties as they can, but they want to start off wholesaling, following your advice. When do you think the transition should be? Do you think it should be like something they start doing like right away? Like, because I hear a lot of people saying, wholesale 5, keep 1, right? And just keep doing that. Or should they have it should they keep wholesaling for a couple years, and then once they have, maybe a good nest egg, put that towards a property? What's your advice towards that?
I can tell you, me, I would take all of it as it comes, right? I would take all of it. you have your first plan. I would do wholesaling.
Hmm.
But as you're becoming a deal finder, as you become better at negotiating, as you are more aware of the types of deals you can negotiate, you can buy. I've bought rentals with no money out of pocket. I've bought rentals where the actual owner paid me $5,000, and I walked into the table and I got $5,000, and I become the owner of the property. And it's basically because I'm really good at negotiating deals, right? So wholesaling, finding deals, marketing to sellers actually created that skill for me, right? So if you're looking for deals, there's somebody that, let's say, he'll say, look, give me 5K on top of my mortgage and you can have the house. Why would you wholesale that to somebody else if you know where, in the long run, you know where you want to go, right? But you're doing wholesaling, but this just came on your plate, right? It's like a shark, right? When you're in the ocean, a shark is always going to eat if they see something they like,
Right.
right? It's always going to eat. It's going to take a bite out of it, and they figure if they like it, they let go. If they like it, they keep going. If they don't like it, they let go, right? But in that whole process, I'm not saying no to a good rental that comes my way if I'm only looking to wholesale,
Right.
right? Because as you go into your career, these deals will just come in your pipeline. If you don't know how to execute, and it's your fault, right? It's your fault. So I would take everything as they come, as they go, but become a good a deal finder. Become a good just basically you have to connect with people, and from there, everything will fall in place. Private money will fall in place, right? Private money will fall in place. Fix and flips will fall in place. And there's different ways in creating a rental portfolio. It's not just buying a property the traditional way.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's good. That's a good perspective, and I agree as well. And that's kind of the phase that I'm having now in my business, just to give you, the audience and you some, some perspective. I've been wholesaling for, I started back in like early 2020, like right when the pandemic started, and I got my first deal during the pandemic, and since then I've been wholesaling. So I've gone to
I made so much money in the pandemic, man. It's so crazy.
what's that?
I've made so much money in the pandemic, man. I actually made more money the year of the pandemic than the year there was no
I,
pandemic.
yeah,
So
it was a good year. I mean, the market went up like crazy. I mean, as far as real estate goes, I mean, it went up like crazy.
definitely, definitely.
So I've been wholesaling since that time, and now I'm getting to the point where I have, all this experience with working with buyers on deals, and getting their feedback on deals, and now I felt like I've gotten to the point where I can start, fixing and flipping, and maybe buying and holding. I like, personally, I'm more on like the active income stream of sides, just trying to get the business set up. That's kind of like my vision for the short term. But I take a lot to your advice, because I do want to become an investor of, and hold properties for the long term. So it just puts into perspective, all the properties that I've came across throughout my journey that I could have kept as rental properties and as flips. And I thought, man, I probably could have started a whole lot sooner, because I had the connections, I had the people, I knew contractors, I knew lenders, I knew uh, people that could help me out with deals. So I mean, do, well, let me ask you this: why do you think people are afraid to take that step?
Maybe the lack of knowledge. Um, and some people cap themselves, right? That's my big thing. I feel like this is my superpower. People come to me, I take the cap off and I throw it away. There's no more cap. Keep dreaming bigger, dream bigger. Um, and I feel like people stop themselves from creating their own legacy because sometimes they don't really believe it can happen for them, right? So they keep building a case on why it's not going to work versus building a case why it's going to work. You see what I'm
Of
saying?
course.
And I personally know through experience that if you I'm a big believer, man. That's You have to be positive. You have to keep telling yourself this, right? And anybody who doesn't believe, just kick them out.
Yeah. I can't hear you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I love that, and I can attest to that as well. I remember one of our first conversations we had. We were on the phone, and I was telling you about where I wanted to go, and we were just kind of introducing ourselves. And you were telling me like, "Hey, man, if you can just do this and buy this like high rise building, and for a couple $1 million," I was like, "I've never thought about doing something like that." But you know what? You're right. I can do that. So I was like,
It's not as hard as you think.
I
It's hard. It's a lot of work in between it, but the plan is very simple. It's like you can make up a plan and do all this planning and planning. Yeah, if it goes right, it's perfect, but it's gonna go off a little bit. Your job is just to bring it back on.
yeah,
It's gonna go off. Your job, bring it back on.
yeah.
That's all it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you about today's real estate market. Where do you see it going? Are you preparing for anything, or what is it looking like for you in today's market?
So in the beginning of the conversation, I told you that we're still flipping, but we mostly look at it like we're gonna hold every single property we buy, right? So we have multiple exit strategies, right? But the last one is always keeping it for a couple years, right? Every time we buy something, I'm always prepared to keep it for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? So but I'm always everything's for sale, right? If somebody comes and I have a big pop I can make, take it. I'm moving on to the next one,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't really see. I think it's gonna be kind of every market is gonna have their ups and downs. I don't think it's gonna be a general country. Okay, the market is crashing throughout the whole country. No, I don't think it's going to be like that.
Right.
And I also think the affordable markets, I don't see too much more down it can go. So another reason why
It cut out again. Yep. Yep. We're good.
so the another reason why I like Ohio, and there's other states like this, is that the entry point to the investment is low.
Yeah.
Right. So in South Florida where I live, the average 2-bedroom house is 500K. Right? So the entry point for the investment is actually higher, right? It's a lot. You need a lot more money down to flip. The ROI has to be better in order to make the, the investment.
Right.
So Ohio, you have houses, $100,000 houses, $200,000 houses, and these $100,000 to $200,000 houses are actually in decent neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can get a decent house for 200K in a good neighborhood, good school districts where everybody's trying to be, right? And if you're doing that over here in Florida, you're spending $1 million. You're spending $1 million. So
Yeah.
I like my diversification on my investments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Georgia is a little bit more than Ohio, just a little bit, not too much. But the Atlanta area is a little bit more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but still a little bit cheaper than Miami, Fort Lauderdale,
For sure.
and it's still a growing city. Atlanta, I like Atlanta.
For sure. So it sounds like to me that business is pretty much going to be usual for you. You're not really, taken back by market changing or the recent rate hikes or where you think it's going. You're just going to keep it
So
chugging.
the recent changes have restructured the negotiation with sellers.
Mhm.
So the creative finance has been my clutch. That's been the key to making deals happen, right?
Mhm.
Like I said, the guy wanted more on this 38 unit package. He wanted more. He didn't want to lose his equity. He's like, the market is not crashing, blah, 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 all this other stuff. And because we made a creative deal, we still were okay to make the deal.
Mhm.
And I'm still going to come out with a lot of money.
Mhm. Awesome.
And subject to, like I have a subject to contract in my email right now,
Mhm.
ready, waiting for me to sign. That's in Dayton. 3.5 interest rate. I got to come up with 18K in cash to close. 18K in cash. It's a house worth $270,000. I'm buying it for 170, right? 170. The mortgage is like 150, something like that, 155 or something.
Yeah.
3.5% interest rate. So I'm still gonna cash flow maybe $500-600 a month, right? So if you do five, let's just do 5 times 12, that's 6,000. So if I put 18K and I make 6,000 a year, that's a 33% return, cash on cash return, 33%. cash on cash return.
Are you putting any money into the house, or are you just going to rent it out as is?
I'm just gonna rent it out as is. It's livable. So I'm gonna put money into it a couple years from now.
Mhm.
Let's say if mortgages go down, I'll put some money into it and refinance and take some money out of it
Mm.
because it's worth 260.
Yeah.
You know, I can get 80%, 75% of that.
Yeah. Awesome.
So like I said, I'm always buying. So if the market is bad, I'm buying. If the market is good, I'm buying. It's just you have to shift the way you buy, right? You're not going in with a traditional way of buying an investment. I still do that if the deal is worth it, right? But I'm still buying all the time, every week.
Awesome. What do you have? What tips do you have for somebody that's trying to scale a portfolio? You know, say they're at maybe 1, 2 units, 10 units. You know, how do they take it to going to from where they're at now to 50, 100 plus units? What are some of your tips for that?
So I can say, look in the mirror, talk to that guy, and get him out the way. Tell him that, look, we're going to be better than this, right? My old me is not going to be me anymore, right? You have to really mentally get in your head because what's stopping you is really you, man. What's stopping you is really you. There's no difference from me and you. I have more years of experience. But if you sit with me for one day, I can tell you every single little thing that I've done, and then now you have the knowledge to do that.
Right.
And you can beat my projection because you're younger than me by more than a decade, right? So I'll tell you everything you need to know. Not everybody will do it. Probably 95% won't do it. We'll just take the information and be like, oh yeah, it can work. It can happen. Is he really telling the truth?
Yeah.
You know, it can happen, but it all depends on what type of life you're looking to live, right? If you're looking to live a certain type of life, you have to just build your life around that, your dream life.
I love it.
Like, you know, right now after Thanksgiving, I'm going to the Dominican Republic. I'll be there for maybe 12 days. Then I'll come back, Christmas, everybody with the family. And then after that, I'll go back again. You know, so I go back every month. You know, I build a life that I dreamed of, and I'm helping a lot of people in the same time. When people come close to me, I don't, you know, I just try to uplift them the much I can, and I make an impact on people where they think about me after that, and then they reach out and they're like, look, I've been thinking about every time I had time to myself, you know, your words, your voice has been in my head. How can we get started, man? Like, how can we get started? Like, the time is now.
Yeah.
And I tell them, like, the time is now. It's not when the real estate market goes down and prices are down. No, it's that you don't maneuver that way.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. Any last words you have for the audience, for people that are watching?
I can tell you, look, everything I've said on this podcast, I hope you listen and take it to an account and actually take action, right? Anybody could do this. Real estate is for everybody, right? If you believe in yourself and if you don't give up, it's just a matter of time. It's not, you don't know when it's going to happen, when your dream life that you vision, you don't know what's going to happen, but if you just believe and you just stick to it, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. It's going to happen.
I love it.
If God gives me another 30 years on this earth, right? If God gives me another 35 years, I'm going to help a lot of people. I'm going to complete everything that I think that I can complete and more. I shoot for the stars and you land in the moon. In my next 5 years, I plan to buy around another 100 hotels all over the world. Right now, I'm starting in the Caribbean. I'll be in probably Colombia and Costa Rica by next year. And then after that, I'm trying to build a network, a way to travel through various channels, affordable traveling. And my investors that actually invest in my hotels. So the first hotel I have, I'm buying a second one and a third one.
Mm.
The investors that were in the first hotel actually get a small cut of every hotel that I buy after that. right? Because they believed in me. They believed in what I was doing, what I was capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you just do the math, if you have 100 hotels, right, and you invested in the first hotel, you become a part owner in the next 5 years of 100 hotels.
That's incredible.
Hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I'm back. Okay. So the traveling, right? So the investors that invest in my hotels, right? In 5 years, I'm going to have over 100 locations. So if you invest in my hotel, you can travel for free in all these locations. And a lot of the times, people they like traveling. They want to travel. They want to experience new cultures. And I'm gonna have access to all that for everybody in my network.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it, man.
Education and traveling, man. I love all of it. I love learning and I love traveling. I love learning about cultures. I love learning about what they've done in the past, what their contribution to society was, and what their future contribution will be. So I'm doing a little thing on my hotels where you learn every part. Like let's say Dominican Republic, you're gonna learn what they've done in the past, what their contribution to the world is, and the what their contribution will be in the future. The young crowd of what they're working on. So I'm trying to do like a little specific niche of education, learning cultural habits.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Xavier, I really do appreciate it. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a really busy guy, but again, just want to say I really appreciate it. There's still a lot of stuff I want to ask you. I mean,
It's a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of
yeah,
stuff.
a lot of stuff, man. I really do appreciate your time today. And guys, that was the Trip Podcast, episode 3. Check us out next week, and I will see you guys later.